Welcome to The Actor's Choice, where the actors and actresses have a chance to talk about themselves and their careers. Join us now for the next hour as we explore the marvelous industry of acting by actors and actresses from today's exciting show business world. And now, direct from Hollywood, here's your host, Ron Brewington.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Brewington, and welcome to The Actor's Choice. Roll it, Tony.
Dorothy Rudd Moore. She went to Howard University and studied and wrote some really serious works, like operas and other things. And somebody called her out on that. She said, okay, I'll do something simple. And she called it Little Whimsy. And now we're going to have a dancer interpret that work.
Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest today is the Executive Director of Presenting Afro Classical Composers. He's here today to tell us about some of the magnificent organization. So please, without further ado, please welcome Michael Ligon. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Welcome to The Actor's Choice. Welcome to The Actor's Choice. Just first of all, I want to let you know, I want to thank a good friend of mine, Byron Johns. He's the guy that calls me and lets me know about different people. He called me and said, "Ron, I got one for you. I got one for you." So he did. He sure did. And I want to thank him. I know he's watching. I know he's watching. But he's a good friend. I've known him for a long time. So first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is a classical composer? But we know what Afro is. No question there. But what's a classical composer?
Oh, whoa, that's a loaded question these days. You may notice that the Grammys, big controversy about what is classical music. I'm not prepared to be a purist. People used to ask me this about jazz in the 70s quite a bit, but I would generally say classical music is that music that came to us somewhere around the 1500s when we left Northern Africa and went up into Europe with the influence of Africa, and
Right.
we had societies where people were using music as a part of their entertainment, as entertainment for royalty and for those with the privilege of having live musicians. There were no tape recorders and recording things. So you had live musicians. That implied, unlike quinceañeras and weddings and other things, that you had a bit of financial means to be able to have trained musicians perform for you live. And there are certain instruments that came out of Northern Africa, like the lute, which you get your string instruments that are formed in ensembles like orchestras and string quartets. And generally, it's that setting that gives us classical music. Then there's some other theoretical and music details that make it classical. But that's generally what I'm referring to when I talk about classical music.
I'm glad you said it, because I had said to myself, this may sound a little strange, but there's a lot of black music out there. Hip hop. Last week we had Tony Cornelius, and I made a statement. I said his father started hip hop, because he did. He opened the door, and they've been around, how long? 50 years now?
At least, yes.
Tony, can you show the gentleman that picture that I put up there, number 10? Look at that picture. Does that look familiar?
Yeah, I'm thinking Harlem Renaissance.
That's right. Thank you, Tony.
And we usually associate that with jazz, but it had a lot of genres in there.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I was born and raised in Harlem, so when I saw that picture, I went, yeah. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes, indeed. So how did you yourself get into the business?
How to get into classical music? Oh, it started with Aretha Franklin and my local junior high school. I grew up in a church where piano and music was very important, Pentecostal church. So music was not just something that was in the service. It was the activity that got your attention.
Yes.
No sleeping in that church. So when I went to I always loved piano, probably from church. Anyway, so when I went to school, I decided I wanted to be in the band, and I was already taking private lessons. We were fortunate to get a piano when I was about 10 years old, 10 years old or so. So I was just going to play. I always loved piano. So in the process of learning in the band, the teacher said, you know, you're okay at this. You should go across town and see if you can get into this citywide youth orchestra program. And
Hmm.
that led to me. And I, of course, wanted to play with Aretha. But they
Hmm.
said, well, you got to learn how to read. You got to play these instruments. And that was all taking you to classical music. So as a youngster, I learned classical music as another language, right? Two or
Right.
three times a week, I was playing it and learning it and taking lessons and that sort of thing. So that's how I got in classical music.
Wow. Because for me, and I don't know how you feel about it. When you say classical music, I'm thinking of that, that Beethoven and all that good stuff like that. I mean, in fact,
Well, we do. Yes.
yes, here in LA, as you well know, there's KUSC.
Yes.
I listen to them all the time.
KUC is going to be one of our sponsors for a concert that we're preparing to give live at the downtown Los Angeles Public Library.
Yes.
And they work with KSU. They'll be one of our sponsors to put the word out there. We do think of classical music as what I call DWIMs, dead
Mhm.
white European males, Bach, Beethoven, Brahms, Shostakovich, everybody except people of the African diaspora. And that is something that has been overlooked. I became aware of that when I was a teenager. I was playing in a
Mhm.
youth orchestra that was going to play in a festival in Europe.
Yes.
And the conductor had wisdom. It was Washington, D.C. was 70% black at the time.
Mhm.
And we were
Chocolate
integrated. And
City, they used to
we,
call it.
say again?
They used to call it Chocolate City.
There we go, Chocolate City. We
Yeah.
were integrated at the time, at least for this orchestra. In fact, the director he was told, I
Mhm.
want a group that represents all of us. And
Mhm.
54 was 10 years behind us or so, 10 or 12 years behind us. That is the Supreme Court a decision to integrate public schools.
Yes.
So I was in an orchestra with people from around the city, black and white. We didn't know about other things. You were either black or you're white at the time. And we were playing, and we were ready to go to Switzerland to play the Summeritz International Festival. And the conductor said, I can't go to Europe and take all these black kids and white kids and play only European composers.
Yes.
So he introduced us to George Walker and
Mhm.
Hale Smith. We didn't know any female black composers at the time, but
Wow.
they were all these men. And we were preparing for a concert in Avery Fisher Hall in New York, Lincoln Center, and
Hmm.
George Walker was in the audience. You know, you want to have a composer listening, because they can tell you details that can't fit on the page. It's like, like acting. Everything that you want can't go on that page. You need somebody to really bring it out, and who better than the person whose head it's in, the composer. So George Walker was in the audience, and in the end, in the break, it was difficult music. It was hard music. I had played Beethoven, Brahms, Mahler, and everybody, but nothing like this. So I went up to him and said, "How did you come up with a work like that?" And we became buddies. We were both Washington, D.C. natives. And I realized at the time, I didn't know at the time, but I was a little bit older than his sons. He has two sons.
Yes.
And so we started a relationship that became a musical friendship for until he died in 2018. This was George Walker. He won the Pulitzer in music composition in 1996, but I knew him in the 70s.
Got you. You
And George Walker, if anybody knows him, he
Yes.
was intent on making you know your heritage, whether you were black or white ever. He was not accepting of the fact that the orchestras were only playing the Mozarts and the Duems. He
Uh,
expected you to know who your composers were, black and white.
about a year ago, they came out with a movie, Searchlight Pictures, called Chavalier.
Yes.
Tony, can you roll that for us one time?
Yeah, Chevalier.
Wow, that was good. That was good. Yes, you were saying. I'm sorry. You were saying.
Wonderful movie. You know,
Yes.
Chevalier he was also served in the military. He was a contemporary of the black general who served with Napoleon. I
Okay.
can't think of it. Alexander Dumas, the
Okay.
father of the famous son who did the Three Musketeers and all those people.
Hmm.
But he was a contemporary, and like Dumas, he came from South America, or where
Okay.
we call the Caribbean, where the slave labor camps or
Yes.
the enforced camps for enslaved people from Africa was going on. This guy that we saw, Chevalier, was really, really gifted. You know, the universe gifts certain people with things unusually, and that was recognized. So when you saw there his father, who was a white male,
Yes.
and an owner of these of the labor camp, he
Gotcha.
took him to England to get him, France, sorry,
Okay.
to get him trained. And as you know, in England, you're knighted when you have all this wonderful talent. In France, you become chevalier. And the Queen was so impressed. And I want to say this. They have in that film and in so many other things, they have Chevalier competing with trying to, you know, compete with Mozart, his contemporary. The fact is, before Mozart got on the scene, Chevalier was there and established and was recognized by Queen of France and was to have been the court musician of the opera had it not been for the racism of the performers who refused to work under his conducting as an African or person of African descent. Brilliant musician.
Gotcha.
Brilliant swordsman, as you saw.
Yes. Yes.
And just what they call a polymath. Lots of talent.
Right. Michael, who is Lynn McLean?
Lynn McLean is a man who just died this past November at the age 95. He was the person who had the vision to bring all these young kids from all the schools in Washington, D.C., black and white, and put them in a central youth orchestra. We hear about El Sistema in Venezuela that brought us Dudamel and some other people. But before that happened, Lynn McLean was in Washington, D.C., forming a group where kids came together from across the city, rehearsed during the summer every 5 days a week, and during the week on Saturday mornings and maybe Wednesday nights. So we learned the repertoire from Mahler to Shostakovich to George Walker to everybody. By the time, and I was in that program and I had studied privately. So Lynn McLean was the person who had a nonprofit who got the parents together, who brought the kids in. My dad and everybody else, my dad was a soccer dad, right? Before they had soccer moms. My dad would deliver me at that school and we pick me up after lunch. And we practiced. That's what that program was. They toured internationally. I played in 2 international youth orchestra festivals when I was in high school, and it kept going after that.
Got you. Got you. I am a composer. I want to get in touch with you. How does that happen?
You're a composer and you want to get in touch
I'm just saying off the heart.
I understand. Presenting Afro classical, online, we're Afro classical composers.
No, I mean, how can I get in touch with you?
Well, at that site, you'll see a contact, or you can use me at afroclassicalcomposers.org and use the contact me, and I'll get your message there.
Okay. Do you have a building or somewhere I can go, or does the organization have that?
No, we are applying to grants. We started in 2018 as a nonprofit. And we are in the process of looking for operational grants where we can have building. But we're just coming out of COVID, and people who have buildings are still working at home. So right now, everybody's working at home.
Got you.
We're fiscally sponsored by Fulcrum Arts out of Pasadena.
Got you. Roll it, Tony. Got something for you.
Okay.
I applaud programs that allow people the opportunity to be themselves and be neurodiverse and do what they do in the way that they do it.
Yes. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Got some telephone numbers up there. I heard you mention George Walker, William Grant Still, Florence Price, Maria Morley, Chris Bowers. I mean, the names just go on and on and on. Marvelous. Marvelous. My goodness.
Yes.
What's in the future for you guys?
We continue, every month or two, we put out a newsletter called Happenings. And it tells you about everything that's happening in the world of classical music that involves Afro-classical composers. There's a whodunit sci-fi by some author by the name of Slocum, who's written a book called The Violin Conspiracy. So if you love that kind of mystery thing, you can read about it that way. We talk about developments of who's released what recordings. We saw in that video Maria Corley, the wonderful Maria Corley, who's a genius at the piano, but very humble. She shows up on time, kills it every time. And she's a proud mom of a son who's on the spectrum. And we are focusing on our audiences on those on the spectrum and other neurodiverse people, as well as underserved people who are not usually targeted for our concerts or classical concerts. We have LGBT youth, adults, and seniors. We go for veterans. We have reentry populations, foster families, and college students in all disciplines, because when we make a presentation, and our next one is in August,
Yes.
When we make a presentation, you're hearing music of a composer. One of the composers is going to be living, one is going to be legacy, one is going to be male, one is going to be female. And you're not going to hear 12 movements of one particular thing, right? You'll hear just a section of things, and then we'll have a discussion about it. Have a panelist talk to us about where does it fall in history? What was the food like at the time?
Yes.
So you get to know the composer as a real whole person. And then you hear their music in that context.
Sounds good. Mike, I wish I could keep you on here a little bit longer. We have other guests waiting now, but we'll get you back on again. I want to thank you for sharing the information you gave us today. Beautiful, continued success in what you're doing. And by the way, thank you, Byron Johns. Thank you, Byron Johns.
Thank you, Byron.
and
thank you so much. My pleasure.
My pleasure. This is the Actors' Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony. We'd like to let you know that we're asking the Actors' Choice people to help us get former baseball player Curt Flood into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, Curt passed away January 20th, 1997, was the husband of one of our wonderful guests, renowned actress Judy Pace. So all you got to do is just call 213-349-3941. It's 213-349-3941, okay? We sincerely thank each and every one of you for being a part of this magnificent award for a great baseball player. Okay. There is one more thing that I want to ask, ladies and gentlemen. I want to let you know that a lady that we know, Gail Gibson, the Multicultural International Motion Picture Association, they are so proud to support its president, Gail Gibson, on her Women of Inspiration Award on Friday, March the 8th, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now, for more information, call 760, that's 213-4379. That's 760-213-4379. Okay? Congratulations, Gail. Roll it, Tony. My next, ladies and gentlemen, my next guest today is a veteran and well-known actress. She began her acting career at 5 at Lullaby Kids in The Wizard of Oz at Camp Monroe in the Catskills. She trained at Boston University School of the Arts, Rutgers University, and Berhoff Studios, where she studied with Uta Hagen, Carolyn Usenfeld, and Ken McMillan. She also has appeared on Broadway in Smile with Jodie Benson, The Little Mermaid. She's currently doing a play, Marilyn, Mom and Me, at the International City Theater. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, and she's sitting right there waiting to say something. I can just see it now. Wonderful lady, Laura Gardner. Laura, bless you, and welcome to the audience. Now, did I say Uta right? Did I get that right?
Uta Hagen.
Thank you. I thought I heard you say that. I said, let me ask
Tricky name.
So you guys, you know her very well, I take it.
Yeah, she was quite a woman.
Yeah, indeed. Tell me, where were you born at, my dear?
Flushing, New York, and we chatted that there it is. We were both New York, born and bred. Yeah.
I heard people say that's the biggest Chinatown in New York City.
I guess so. It wasn't when I was growing up. I think it was. I think it was very probably Jewish and Italian.
Yes. People coming in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. As I said to you, when I was in I went to school at Aviation High School in Flushing in Queens. One of the things that I loved about it was not too far from where the school was at. We used to go get them little hamburgers, White Castle.
That's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, I love those things. How many bites does it take to put one down? Is it two or
I,
three?
yeah, it wasn't very much. God, that's a long time. I remember Big Macs though. Those were the big things when I moved to New Jersey. We were
Wow.
the beginning of the McDonald's era. It's true in New Jersey.
Hmm. Uh, and so you came in here in New York City. By the way, can you give us that number five there, Tony? This you might remember this, Laura. You might remember this.
Oh my God. Well, we had moved from New York
Yeah.
to New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And I have a twin sister, which Ron and I, for those listening, we share
Yes.
we're twins. We would go into New York every Saturday
Uh-huh.
and go to the orthodontist. And after we went to the orthodontist in Queens, we would go to the World's Fair. And when I got a little older, I started going to see Broadway shows on Saturdays. And my first Broadway show was Stop the World, I Want to Get Off,
Yes.
and which I think was, I had to be on Broadway and I had to see Broadway shows. So that was, and City Center, I probably saw City Center before I even saw Stop the World. I saw My Fair Lady and probably the filmed version of West Side Story was at a big theater, a movie theater that was just sort of like a stage theater. And I just knew I had to act.
Right. What is it that got you into this business? I mean, you got almost 70 kicks, you got a lot of things going on. And of course, the play. We'll talk about that in a minute.
I think I always say that, I have a twin, I have an older sister, that part of it was that I really was very neurotic and I had to get out of who I was. So I started acting to get out of who I was. And then as an actor and a teacher, I ended up many years later realizing that what acting is really becoming more and more authentically who you are. So getting away from me, I ended up discovering more of who I am. So you can't get away from who you are. You keep running in place. So
I know the feeling. I'm a twin. I know what you mean.
yeah, interesting.
I'm UG, he's LY. We kind of do it that way.
Yeah, interesting.
Do it that way. You are also a casting director.
I am, and my husband, who is also an actor, he's amazed. I have a very good memory, and I recognize talent, and I recognize faces, and I remember people who I think are extremely talented, and I respect talent, and I respect people who treat people well. And there's something about kindness, and there's something in Marilyn Mom and Me where Eileen Heckard talks about people kind. There's something special about actors and the magic of theater and film and TV, that why do people go to see a good film, or why do people go to see the theater? It's in order to be changed, in order to be affected, in order to be impacted. And I think that as a casting director, I've loved to give people an opportunity to work and to put people I love together in the process. So it's always been a gift when I've been able to put people together to work together. That's really, and actually the theater that I'm working at right now, the International City Theater, is a theater that I was a casting associate with 15, well, about almost 20 years ago. I worked there as a casting associate for about 3 years. And now here I am as an actor there. It's a real.
Interesting. As you and I talked to previously, I mentioned to you the fact that for a lot of people that come here to LA, they want to be a star, and they do this and they do that. They won't get up on that stage.
Well, I love live theater, and I think people who do live theater are crazy, and they're willing to put themselves into danger and excitement. And there's something so magical about having an audience right there, and you can't say, I want to do it again. Can we stop and do it again right now? There's something so vital about having a live audience there, and it will never be the same. That performance has the magic of these people in front of you right then. And so the difference between a Saturday night and a Saturday afternoon and a Sunday. It's truly an extraordinary experience, as opposed to the medium of an editor, the medium of having these short bites. And I love doing film and TV because it has a whole other magic of the simplicity. The same way Zoom is, the simplicity of just having this tiny, I don't have to express myself in a way that's going to go all the way up to the 200th person or the 1,000th person in a huge theater.
Roles you like to get, which ones is that?
Say that again. What's my favorite role?
Roles that you like to get. Your favorites.
Well, I mean, Eileen Heckert has been an incredible journey for me, because in this role I get to play older and younger. So I go from 83 down to 42. I don't know that I could do that on film unless I have a lot of makeup, and it's with a snap of it's within a moment. But I've done a lot of Eugene O'Neill, who is somebody who very, again, emotional, very raw. But I've done Neil Simon, who I love. I love making people laugh. I like to make people think, and to be surprised, and to get out of who they are, or to get back to who they are. So I've been very lucky. The Chicago Med I did last year was had a storyline that was about a woman who had a Down syndrome grandchild. And the storyline, I've done a lot of work with disabled or other abled actors and people. And I'm not happy that this grandmother tried to murder her grandchild because she was dying of cancer. I think that's not a great thing to do, but I think it's important that people saw the story to understand that it's the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
And the director, Bethany Rooney, happens to be one of the most extraordinary directors ever. Very lovely, kind, mindful, respectful of actors. And I had worked with her on a Law and Order SVU episode. So to get a second opportunity to work with her was a true gift. And I expect I'll work with her again.
Speaking of working, you're working on a play right now, Marilyn, Mom and Me.
Yes. And International City Theater, we have one final weekend written by Luke Yankee about his mother. I heard fabulous actress, was in The Bad Seed, won an Oscar for Butterflies Are Free with Keir Delay, and Goldie Hawn. She was in Somebody Up There Loves Me with Paul Newman. She played Mary Tyler Moore's Lou Grant she was the love interest, Lou Grant's love interest in Mary Tyler Moore show. She was an incredibly long stage, film, TV actress, wonderful actress. And she was in Bus Stop with Marilyn Monroe, and she had a very, very unique, amazing relationship with her during Bus Stop. And Luke was the play about her relationship with Marilyn Monroe during Bus Stop, and also the relationship between Luke and his mother. And so he created this amazing play, and I get to play Eileen with the relationship with Marilyn, and Eileen with her relationship with Luke. And I met Luke when I was working. I go to Alaska every year to teach and to act at a playwrights conference. And Luke saw me there when he was writing the play and beginning to write the play. And that's when he asked me to get involved with the play 4 years ago. And so we have 4 final performances, International City Theater in Long Beach. There are a few tickets left. We have been doing great. The reviews are great. I don't read reviews. But 4 performances left this weekend. Please feel free to go online, International City Theater, Long Beach.
In Long Beach, beautiful city to get into.
Yes, beautiful.
Yes, indeed. Anything? Let me see. You're a dog lover, aren't you?
I'm an animal lover, but I particularly love dogs. I have a rescue. Her name is Dolly. Goofball. She likes to talk a lot.
Yes.
And we had 2 other rescues. I think in a past life I was definitely a dog, a golden retriever. and which goes with being an actor. And I think that I think it's really important that we understand that animals are, again, something that I think life is about sharing the space with the universe and kindness and in what can we do for the universe.
Gotcha. We got one picture to show you before you get out of here. There's the picture. That's the
That
picture.
is me in the background being extremely uncomfortable about the fact that Marilyn is you can see my son there is adoring her, and I'm slightly jealous of that. Yeah. And that's Alicia Soper, fabulous actress who plays Marilyn, and Brian Rohan, who plays my son. They are both just extraordinary talents. Jacqueline Schofield plays a number of different roles. Rosetta Lenoir and Ella Fitzgerald and Noah Wagner rounds out the cast. It is a wonderful group of people. Please come on down.
All right. Thank you so much, Laura. I really enjoyed hearing what you're doing right now. Folks, go see the play, please. Marilyn, Mom, and Me. Gotta see it. You'll love it. And many thanks to the good publicists that we know. Our dear friend, Lucy Pollack. That's our name. That lady's too much to love her, as they love her. But as they say, you know this very well. Break a leg, my dear. Break a leg.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Nice to meet you.
Best wishes to you, my dear. Best wishes to you. Ladies and gentlemen, Laura Gardner. Indeed. This is the Actor's Choice. I'm your host, Ron Brewington. Roll it, Tony.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, for more information about the TAC Roll Crows channel, call us at 213-349-3941. That's 213-349-3941. Okay? Okay. Roll it, Tony. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just seen the work of the father of my next guest. This gentleman has created numerous projects. Look at his background here, the Brady Bunch, the Red Stelton, and so many, many, many. This man has done a lot of work. He's created numerous TV, motion picture. There he is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He worked for it. He earned it. As you can see, he's received that star on March the 7th, 2008. Here's a picture. That's the picture right there. When you see that picture, you say to yourself, yeah, that's the guy and the little guy. Yeah, and the little guys and the big guys in the here with us today. His father, his name that we have today, his name is Lloyd J. Schwartz. There you go. There's a picture of you, and you're going to get an award. And you get an award.
Looks like I'm trying to not get him.
There you go. There you go. Lloyd, good to see you again. He's been here with us one time before, I remember.
Yeah, I remember.
And when the Schwartz family did a lot for this industry. Is that
thanks.
Would I be correct in saying that, sir?
Well, we've been around a while, and there's a lot of credits from a lot of up and down the family. So yeah, it's funny that every producer likes to believe that the audience knows all of their shows, all of their episodes. But in terms of the Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island, they do know that. I mean, they have games where they start to play the credits and people guess how fast they can figure out what episode it is.
Lloyd, where were you born at?
I was born I'm from Studio City, California, and I've never changed zip codes. Yeah. So I went to Hollywood High, then UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, studied television writing there. And my career started earlier with Dad when he did a show called Gilligan, and then he did It's About Time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a dialogue coach on that. And then I worked as a stand-up comedian for a while. And then joined him on Brady Bunch. I had been a dialogue coach before, and I'd been a summer camp counselor before, and he had a show with these 6 kids, and he said, here. And he gave me these 6 kids, and I said, take care of them. And I started working in that dialogue coach, and then I eventually became all the way up through writer, producer, director, executive producer, and I've done almost all the Brady Bunch things, a lot of other shows too, but those Brady probably the most famous.
Oh yeah, you had that. That was a good one, definitely. In fact, I think, did you do one of the show, one of the episodes? You had a role in one of the episodes.
Oh yeah,
yes.
yeah. We were filming in
Since I was a kid.
Cincinnati, and I didn't want to. I was associate producer, and I didn't want to pay to send an actor there. And I looked around the crew, and I said, "Who's young enough to do this part?" And then I acted in that. So, oh well.
I saw it. I was trying to get a copy of that. So I said I would love to play that phone so it can bring back memories of back in
Oh
those
gosh, I'm
days.
glad you didn't do that.
Okay. What did you learn from your father about being in this business?
um, you know, there's an expression which is I use, which is basically talking about the importance of the show, about what you're trying to do, and the fact that um, a lot of people try to force you to do other things, and you have to keep that the show is the most important thing, and you have to say that's the expression I use is that's not in the best interest of the show. So when they try to put their girlfriend on the show, or they have a writer trying to give them to you because they pay him off or something,
Mm-hmm.
you have to always look at the show and say that's not in the best interest of the show. And as long as you keep that in mind and keep your eye on the prize, I think you'll be okay.
Wow, good advice. Good advice. Now, you've had a successful career. What are
Yeah.
your favorite projects when you worked in both TV and theater?
Um, well, and I've been doing a children's theater with my wife for
Yes.
40 years. It's called the Storybook Theater of Los Angeles. It's the
Mm-hmm.
only equity children's theater in the city. And I think that's probably what I'm proudest of because we've won, not because we've won a lot of awards, but not because of that. It's just that the impact it has on children. Most kids today don't see any entertainment that was not on a screen. And so we try to introduce them to theater, starting even at the age of 3 to 9. And so I think I'm just most comfortable and happy is there.
Mm-hmm.
And then also in TV and movies, there's so many other people involved, and so everything is a lot of compromise. But in theater, you can basically do what you want. So I've been very fortunate in my theater career to do every kind of musical and one man shows, one person shows, and historical dramas and musicals and comedies. And the idea always tells me what it should be. And so that'll take me into theater, or it'll take me into TV, and it'll take me into movies. And I've been lucky. Been lucky to get it out there.
Got you. You grew up with Gilligan's Island. Any
Yeah.
chance to get back together and make a movie, maybe?
Oh, we've been trying to get that movie made since 1988, a
Mm.
feature film. And in fact, I've been working on a book that I hope to put out when they finally do make a movie, and it's called
Good.
Invitation to a Shipwreck. And it's had so many different studios involved, and so many
Yes.
people come up with ideas, and there's so much politics about it. And I'm actually meeting again in next week somewhere, so maybe it'll finally shake loose. But there's been many scripts, and so one of the things we did, in because we couldn't get the movie made, we did a Broadway, not a Broadway musical, a musical,
Mhm.
Gilligan's Island the musical, which plays around the country. So that's a joy to us, because that's had about 60 productions and international too.
I heard you use that word politics. When I hear that word, I go, ooh.
Mm. Well, they call this show business, and
Right. No business like
I say
show
it's
business.
not really show business because it doesn't function like a business. I don't know what it does, but you have to find ways. You have to, there's a mountain there. You can't, if the mountain's blocking your way, you got to go around the mountain somehow. And so you have to do something else. And it's a lot of figuring it out, And I studied, TV and movies and when I was in college. And
Uh-huh.
they teach you how to make a movie. They teach you how to produce a movie or direct a movie or write a movie, but they don't teach you how to get the movie on. That's not part of the subject matter
No.
because that's all about, talking to the right people and having the right contacts and all that.
How you feeling about AI now?
Well, I think that the Writers Guild, in terms of, first of all, I love AI in terms of medicine, things like that. That's great. In terms of this, I think it's a stopgap measure. I think there's no way to defeat it. I think it's
Uh-huh.
eventually going to take over everything. But I think that the Writers Guild did as best they could now. But I am, um, I don't know. I hate to think that, when I sit down and work on a script that somebody can press a button and there's another, and it's going to be as good as what I'm doing. But I think that's an ego thing, and maybe it will be better. I don't.
Where do you get your ideas from?
Um, just looking around the world, or you know what, now I do a lot of historical writing, and I really like watching the history
Uh-huh.
stations and things, and something like that will throw me into. Like I have a one-person show about Mary Walker, who was the only woman to win the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yes.
There's been 3,500 men, one woman. And so I read a one-page nice magazine article. And so I ended up writing that, and that plays around. And it's going to win. It's going to go into, I think, I don't know, Medal of Honor winner museum or something. We're going to do
Excellent.
that in April somewhere. So that'll kick me off into that. Or I just did a musical about Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony,
Uh-huh.
their friendship. And so that will come about just by seeing something that they were friends, and boom, it
Yes.
becomes something. So anyway, just looking at the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about that recent stage production that you're talking about. I like the way you put it.
Okay.
Can you start off by giving us this? Of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is Cinderella.
Oh, we're talking about Cinderella.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, that was yeah, I'm thrilled we're talking about that because we just opened that.
Yes.
And that we have 18 different shows, musicals at Theater West. So people want to see that, they can go to www.theaterwest.org and they can get tickets there.
Yes.
And it's every Saturday at 1 o'clock, and we do a lot of field trips. And it's our version of Cinderella, and there's a lot of participation in it with the kids. They give a chance to dance with the prince, and they get the prince try his shoes on them because maybe one of them will fit before Cinderella gets around. I did think it's kind of weird though. The guy decides to marry someone based upon a shoe. I think there's probably other ways you could, maybe
Yes.
match.com or something, but just that seems like a crazy way. But
Got you.
yeah, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of audience participation.
I see. I understand that you can accommodate birthday parties and school field trips.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
Tell
there's
us
a
a little
lot of
bit.
that.
Yes.
We're doing 3 or 4 field trips this week. You know, they
Wow.
come there, and as I said, most of them have never seen something that wasn't on a screen.
Right.
When big kids come into the theater, they're going, "What time's the movie start?" I mean, but you know what? The second we're on, they get the haughty, they know exactly what it's about. And they're yelling at the prince, she's over there, and that one they get little hobby horses and they ride with the prince, as they're gonna go, and they deliver the invitations and things. So it's really great fun. It's great fun.
You make me think two things when you say that. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, for the field trips and birth, 818-761-2203.
That's right. That's for field trips and birthday
Field
parties.
trips,
Call
yes.
that number.
Yes,
Thank you.
818-761-2203. And then I have a method, when you mentioned that about going to the movie, I wrote it down. I said, do you see a version of a minute? Okay, theater, so good. I wish more would get that feeling. Going to see a movie is one thing, but going to see a live play is off the hooks.
It is the best. And you watch the kids, and they're singing and they're dancing in their seat. And I remember the first time when I was a kid like that, and there was a dance recital somewhere,
Yes.
and I went. And excuse me. And then at the end of the dance, they went, "Hey!" And I was in the audience. And went, "Hey!" And I looked around. And I go, "Whoa!" That was shocking. But we encourage that in our theater.
I love it with this. And it's one of the things that I saw in your press kit was funny version to appeal to young people and the whole family.
That's right.
Yes.
And especially appeals to the parents when they're watching their kids on the stage. And we allow people to take pictures too. And I know where these pictures are going. They're going on the family album. So
Gotcha. Speaking of pictures, here's one we got for you.
Uh-oh. Okay, let me see it. Let me see what this is. I got to put my glasses on.
Look familiar?
No, I don't know. That wasn't my wedding. I know that.
Oh,
No.
okay. Let's move to
Tell
the
me
next
what it
one.
is, and then I'll
Well,
respond.
It was supposed to be just a picture they gave me that they gave me.
Oh,
How about this one?
oh no, that looks like the Romeo and Juliet ballet.
Okay.
I've never written a ballet, so
Okay, we'll leave those two alone. Thank you very much
yes.
for calling it out there. I like that, calling it out.
Okay.
We do have one for you, number 47, if you would, Tony. There is a venue. Is this one?
Oh yeah. That's where I've spent a lot of time. That's Theater West. It's in line with kind of in Universal Studios, and it's been the home of that building's been the home of Theater West for over 60 years, and we have been doing the children's theater there for 40 years,
Woo.
every Saturday, and
Right.
and a lot during the week too.
How about parking for this event?
There's parking across the street, and we don't own the lot. You just have people have to pay over there, and then there's a crosswalk.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And we had to get the crosswalk because didn't used to be a crosswalk and people used to risk their lives running across the street.
Yes.
And so we had to petition and we picketed with storybook theater characters and costumes saying, we think that there's safety for the kids. And eventually there was a crosswalk there.
Okay. Can you give us some credentials on telephone number so you can get in touch with your place so you can get in there?
Go and get into the theater itself.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's 851-4839, area code 323-851-4839. That has all the information about the theater. And then the Storybook Theater line, I think we talked before, which is 818-761-2203. And we'll get you tickets so you go call there. And there's usually some walk-ins available, but we've been selling out now. So make sure you get your reservations.
Okay, Lloyd. But again, thank you very, very much for being here today. You have thoroughly enjoyed our company. We really enjoyed yours.
I love talking to you. We have to do this again, you know.
And please thank your publicist, Philip Sokoloff, please.
I will tell him for sure.
He's a busy man. He moves around. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Bye-bye.
Bye. I want to thank our sponsors, Harvey Brandman Photography as an art, Ron Irwin, Lose Life, The Way to Lose Weight, Larry Buford's book To the Future, Time Travel, Message in a Capsule, State Farm agent Carla Green, and veteran actor Rob Brownstein's actor training facility and Actors Space. And so much thanks for our guest today, executive and artist director presenting Afro classical composers Michael Leone, actress casting director Laura Gardner, and you just saw him here, producer actor Lloyd writer J. Schwartz. Okay. The Actor's Choice is a presentation of B&B Production. Rudolph Brewington is the president. Sydney Channer, love that lady, is the executive producer. Special thanks to our ever-growing audience. I'm Ron Brewington. Be well. And, of course, we'll see you next time. Take care.